Hi, good evening. Welcome to our first bedtime story time. We hope you enjoy our story, and tonight we're going to read a Shavua story called A Dozen Daisies for Raizy with Diddles, Yossi, and Moshi. So we hope you enjoy our story. You ready, guys? Yeah. A Dozen Daisies for Raizy. Raizy peeked into a bucket of roses. She breathed in the sweet smell of lilacs. She carefully stroked the waxy petal of a tulip. Bobby, said Raizy, I wish I could bring all these flowers home for Shavuos. Raisy's grandmother laughed. I wish you could too. It's so hard to choose. Just then Raizy spotted a sign. Fresh daisies. Take home a dozen today. The colorful petals with golden centers looked cheerful and friendly. Raizy poked around in her little plastic purse. Yes, she'd saved enough. Turning to the florist, she asked, May I have these, please? Smiling, the florist pulled out 12 daisies and tied them with a yellow satin bow. A dozen daisies for Raizy. Raizy paid and picked up her flowers. They're all mine, she thought. Raizy stopped for a moment. She imagined her daisies blooming all over Har Sinai in honor of Matan Torah. Let's go, said Bubby. She held out her hand. Together, she and Raizy stepped out of the flower shop. Oh, look, said Raizy. There's Naomi. She's a new girl in my class, and that must be her mother. Hi, Naomi, Raizy called, but the new girl just stared down at her shoes. What's wrong, Naomi? You look so sad. Naomi sighed. In my old neighborhood, my father used to invite all his friends to a big kiddush at our house after they learned Torah together all night long. I would prepare different kinds of cheesecakes with my mother, and my friends would come over to help. Since we're new in town, we don't know many people. Shavuos won't be the same this year. My father makes a big kiddush too, said Raizy. Everyone is hungry after staying up all night. Hey, why don't you come to help out at our kiddush this year? Naomi's mother said, We'd love to. Then she added, Are those your Shavuos flowers, Raizy? They are so beautiful. Raizy thought about her daisies. If they belonged to her, then they were hers to share. Raizy plucked 2 daisies out of the bunch and handed them to a very surprised Naomi. Thanks a lot, Raizy. Good Yom Tov. Now there were 10 daisies for Raizy. Together, Bobby and Raizy continued on their way. A few moments later, they met Mrs. Schwartz, who was carrying a bag of groceries. Raizy noticed a box of frozen cheese blintzes sticking out of the top. Hi, Mrs. Schwartz, said Raizy. I see you're going to eat blintzes on Shavuos. Oh, yes, said the elderly lady. Usually I make my own, but this year my grandchildren are going to spend Shavuos with their other grandmother. So I bought this little box of blintzes just for me, she sighed. Hoy. Raizy looked up at Bubby, who nodded and smiled. Well, said Raizy, my mother is looking for some Shavuos guests. Will you come and eat blintzes at our house? Why, you are so sweet, said Mrs. Schwartz. I think I will. Then Raizy remembered her flowers. She pulled 2 daisies out of her bouquet and handed them to a very happy Mrs. Schwartz. Thank you, Raizy. A good Yom Tov. Now there were 8 daisies for Raizy. They were almost home when someone called out, Hello, Raizy. What lovely flowers. Raizy looked up to see her neighbor, Mrs. Mizrahi, sitting on the front porch. She held 2 smiling babies in her lap. Raizy lifted her flowers so the babies could see them better. How are Ruti and Boaz? She asked. Baruch Hashem, getting bigger every day, said their mother. But now that the twins are walking, it's much harder to watch them both at once. I don't know how I'm going to manage to hear the Aseret HaDibrot on Shavuot. I know my mother would let me help you, said Raizy. I love taking care of babies. If I hold one and you hold the other, we can all hear the Aseret HaDibrot together. You would do that for me, said Mrs. Mizrahi. Raizy, you're a wonderful neighbor. Raizy chose 2 of the prettiest daisies and handed them to a very grateful Mrs. Mizrahi. Thank you, Raizy. Chag Sameach. Now there were 6 daisies for Raizy. As soon as Raizy and Bubby came home, Raizy ran into the kitchen to show her mother the flowers. Emma, look at my daisies. Aren't they beautiful? And guess what? A new girl in my class is coming to help at our Kiddush. Mrs. Schwartz is eating blintzes with us tomorrow, and Mrs. Mizrahi wants me to watch her twins with her in shul. Wow, Raizy, how exciting. Now let's put your flowers in some water so they'll stay fresh. Raizy placed her 6 daisies in a little glass vase with some water. Just then her brother Yaakov strolled into the kitchen. He looked at the vase in surprise. 6 flowers? That's all you bought? Raizy didn't know what to answer. She loved her bouquet, even if it was a bit small. She thought about where her other daisies might be right now. Then Bubby smiled at Yaakov and said, I have a secret to tell you. This may look like a bouquet of flowers, but this is really your sister's bouquet of mitzvahs. It's half as big as it started out, but it's twice as beautiful. The end. Now we're going to, I hope you enjoy that story. Now we're going to sing our bedtime songs.
Twinkle.
It is Twinkle. Can you help me sing?
Yeah.
Ready? We're going to all sing together. 1, 2, 3. Twinkle, twinkle, kochavim, shining in the shamayim. If you say Shema today, everything will be okay. If you say Shema tonight, everything will be all right. Now we're going to take our right hand and say Shema together. Ready? Everybody's going shuffly. Cover your eyes. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevayit Melchizedek Adam Va'ed V'ahavta es Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anointi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinanta levanecha v'dibarta v'shivtecha b'veisecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shachbecha v'kumecha u'kshatam ne'es al yadecha v'hayu l'teitafos b'neinecha u'chesavtam al mezuzos b'seicha u'v'sharecha. We hope you enjoyed our story and we'll see you next week. Good night.
Bye.